right down there is the other one all painted up. That's the green machine. We've got her looking pretty. Getting ready for it. I've got the stator and one of the magnet rotors up here. The other magnet rotor's out over in the office. We were kind of looking at it, enjoying it. Hello, I'm Scott Brown with Green Wind and Other Home Energies. Right here, this stator bracket, this is going to go through like this, and it can come through all the way through the bottom like it's like a bolt because there's nothing in the way. You have an option of double nutting this using locking nut or lock washers. I don't like lock washers because they usually change the angle of something because one side's a little thicker than the other. The other option is to make a bolt out of this. If you'll notice when I go like this, you see that nut wobbles? It's good to put another nut right up against it. And before you tack weld, or you weld right inside this little groove, you want about 1 to 1.5 threads showing so you have something to weld to. But before you do that, tighten another one up against it just a little. And then you know this thing is perfectly true and straight. And when it presses against here, your all-thread rod will be perfectly straight, not at some little angle that you welded by accident. Okay, so the way we decided to do it was to just go ahead and get this set up, set in here, and this is flat stock that we're bolted into. And we don't have to do this first. We can do the welding afterward. We're going to turn ours into bolts. So there's one. And another thing Boomer was talking about, if you can take a bunch, if you notice when you put nuts down one after another, one way that you turn the nut and you put it together, all the sides are flat. And if you take it off and you turn it around the other way and put it down here, it'll be exactly the opposite facing when it touches. So you put them all the same, bring them down, and you can put it into a vise. And if you take a portable bandsaw, you can cut straight down the middle of these nuts and make some jam nuts or locking nuts. Cut right down, make 2 out of each one. But you waste a little all thread, but that's okay. We'll show you a jam nut here in a second.
Nuts out of one piece.
This one here was cut from a rod coupling, not a nut itself. And here's some more that he made. You notice one side of these, this side here has a little bit of a curve to it, which was the outside edge, and the other side is completely flat. So these are jam nuts, homemade jam nuts that Boomer made. Okay, as you can see, all thread was down inside the nut just a little bit. We filled it up and then ground it off. Looks like a regular bolt except where I melted part of the nut here. And there's a nice looking one. And that one got a pit in it. Don't really care. It's a whole lot better than a locking nut as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, there we go. And we got the other, they're still tightened up on the other side. You can see the way the welding tracks went. I think this is kind of interesting. They tracked this way, like this up here, and this one decided to hug the side on its way up. It didn't just bounce off somewhere. It came up and it hugged the side, like electromagnetism held into it as it disappeared. Pretty neat observation, I think. Yeah, before we start working with the magnets and putting everything together, there's all sorts of magnetic dust all over the table. Before you hit it with a wet rag, what we did was wrap magnets up in the paper towel, pick it all up, take it over,
and then fold the paper.
Fold the paper where you got all that inside, and there's none on the magnets. And then you can wipe the table down. It's a good idea to do a test fit of everything. As you can see here, we've got the top of this, same distance all the way around, and we went ahead and put the rods inside the hub, look straight down it.
Oh, I says, Houston, we has a problem.
Thing is, we're rubbing on the stator. Over here, take a look at it. Notice the X's, all the lines. When I'm looking straight down this edge from here to here, I can see the other part of the cross come in and comes in over here. This is all straight and flat, and it's pretty well perfect. And of course, this is the same length. All these were cut the same. This is all parallel from here to here. This is tilted this way. The hub, or the spindle, should I say, isn't centered. Well, we can bend this. We can bend this and this and this and this till it's all even and set up to where it matches this. But like a main thing here is before you go trying to assemble and put everything all together, it's a good idea to do a test fit. Find out how everything's set. So we're going to take care of that off camera. Alright, well, it's about 11 o'clock at night. I've done a lot of work. We've got all this set. And you notice now, this is dead center. Gotta love it. Anyway, let's take a look across it this way. if you can see the threads, you'll see as they pass this piece here, you'll see they come up straight with it. And the same with the other. And we'll move slowly around, get a view that way. Everything straight up and down. And it's all exact. You can see down here, see a whole bunch of new welds right there. And new welds there. And you notice the other piece that comes off, this is the bottom here. The other piece of pipe that came off the bottom here is not here. What I did, I cut into here, and I had cut up in here till I saw the separations in the metals. I also cut around in there, which this piece, this spindle, this whole bar runs all the way straight through. The problem was this big washer that's welded to this piece of pipe here has the end cap. I had a hole in the center, and it wasn't in the center. It was moved over about that far. When I got this thing originally, it was assembled with the hub here, the one magnet rotor on top of it, then the stator, and then the magnet rotor on the bottom. We decided we wanted it all out here, and that's when the problem started showing up even more. Basically now I can, and we're going to have it set up the way Boomer wants it. So we've got it finally set up, and everything's completely re-welded. I haven't cleaned up the welds, so they look pretty bad right now, but that's alright. We'll give her a shot of it tomorrow. And one good thing to know, see, this is kind of polished. The bearing slides down to this surface right here. If you look all over here, there's little balls of steel or grindings. You look right down in here, you see this is pretty rough. Matter of fact, some of them break off. But you don't want them to get onto here. What I did is I took regular duct tape and I completely wrapped this down to about here, because this is where the bearing sits. But I wrapped it all the way down to here, up to here. It got hot, sure did come off easy. This is all nice and shiny, and while the glue is hot, just go ahead and take some dry paper towels and rub it off. Takes a few paper towels, comes out real nice, so that's all protected, that's nice. That's just something I wanted to add in and show you. Oh, and on top of that, when I set this down on the counter, and I took a speed square. I set it up in front of it while that piece was behind it, and I looked down the edge to see if the edge of the case is straight and even with it. You should see something like this when it hits it. See how that line goes up where it touches? When it's straight, it all touches at the same time. And then if you move over a little bit farther, I could see that spindle, and seeing that it all touched the line at the same time. And that's how I got that straight. I did it this way, and I turned it 90 degrees and checked it again. And that's how we got it straight. And I'm very happy. Very happy they don't have to cut it again to get it all perfectly straight. But this is straight. Alright, well, we got it all painted up and got all the welds cleaned up, looking good. And she's going to sit out here and dry. I used a piece of aluminum foil tape. I peeled the paper down one part of the strip, rolled it around this, and then taped it together. Slides off, slides down. Real cheap little fence to keep all the paint out of the all thread. I don't have to take it all off, so this will be sitting here ready, and we're going to go to the other wind turbine while this works.